Here is that I think the mayor of Brussels, Anthony, decided to close it down.
Yes, that's right, because he was afraid, I think, of public disturbances. That was the excuse given for it. This has caused a great deal of outrage by the people who are participating, although I can't help but think they're probably quite pleased that it's actually put their rather boring conference with some rather horrible people in it onto the front pages of all the papers.
It's got far more coverage than it was ever going to get.
Apparently it only had 200 people there, and that's all over the front pages. So Nigel Farage was there. He said the efforts to shut down the gathering were monstrous, and he's been a victim of cancel culture. Have a listen.
Well, you see, I personally, in my last couple of years in Brussels, was banned from coffee shops, from pubs, from restaurants. So I know what cancel culture is. I know that deeply embedded here in Brussels, anybody that questions the doctrine of ever closer political union is effectively cancelled. The good news about today is global media has seen it. This is the new form of communism. No other perspective, no other view is allowed, and if it sees the light of day, it has to be banned and shut down.
So apparently when the police raided it, the first thing they did was go for the kitchen, because they thought if we shut the food down, everyone's going to leave. What do you think, Ben? Are they justified?
That doesn't say a great deal about the commitment of the members there, does it? They take away the pastries and they're off. No, I think it's a bit dodgy, actually. I mean, Nigel Farage on his high horse there. It's not the new fascism. But the idea that Suella Braverman and Nigel Farage are somehow a threat to public order, they're not going to start a riot in the streets of Brussels. I think even the Belgian Prime Minister has come out and condemned it. So what Farage is saying there about it being this cross-EU conspiracy, I think falls at the first hurdle, because actually the mayor's been condemned quite widely.
I'm just going to make... Oh, look, there's Farage now. I'm just going to make a point about Nigel. If you look at this picture in the Telegraph, and indeed the clip that we had, Nigel has lost quite a bit of weight, I think. And my theory about this is that's because he's getting ready for quite a big general election campaign. So I think he will probably lead the reform effort. And he thinks, I reckon, he might end up as leader of the Conservative Party after it. What do you think?
Well, it's a sort of a horrible thought, since he's never actually managed.
Why?
He's never managed to win an election in his entire life anywhere, and it just simply shows how far to the right the Conservative Party might be moving, following, if they do indeed lose the next election, which does seem likely.
But since his UKIP days, I think he was hated probably 10 years ago by the majority of people in this country. I think he speaks for a lot of people in this country now. And I was watching the news coverage of this yesterday, and they were talking about public disorder. There was no one on the streets of Brussels. The only people that you could see there were coppers. There was nobody else. There was no public disturbance. And I think what he said there was quite right. If you disagree with the European credo and what they have to say, well, then you're not going to be allowed to speak. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay, Anthony.